Welcome, everybody, to my lovely live stream. It's nice to have you here on Monday. It seems very strange to be here, but here we are. We are together again, live on YouTube. How are you today? Here we are. Welcome to my underground studio, deep under the town of Much Wenlock. Do you like my new studio? I think it's lovely, actually. Here we go then. Hi, everybody. You know what's coming next? This is Mr. Duncan in England. That's me, by the way, for those wondering who that strange man is talking to them at the moment on your computer device, maybe your mobile phone, perhaps your tablet, or even your watch. Apparently, now you can even watch videos on your smartwatch, which I find a little strange because, well, first of all, the image would be very small. So what's the point, really, when you have your smartphone nearby? My name is Duncan, for those wondering. I am an English teacher. I have been here on YouTube for ever such a long time. In fact, this year I'm celebrating 17 years on YouTube. Can you believe it? 17 years. Not 2 months, not 6 weeks, not 13 hours, but 17 years. Way back in 2006, whilst I was still living in China, I started my YouTube channel way back then, and here I am still doing it now. Next week, next Tuesday, we are of course celebrating the actual date, the 31st of October. So I thought, leading up to that particular date, I thought we would do something different. Doing live streams every day. How does that sound? Does that tickle your fancy? Ooh. Now that is an interesting expression we often use in English. We use it quite often when something interests us, or maybe something that makes you go, "Oh, I would like to have a try of that," or something you like the sound of. It tickles your fancy. It's a great expression, and it is one of many that we use in the English language. So here we are then. It's very nice to see you here. Lots of people on the live chat. We have Vitas. Hello, Vitas. Also, we have Claudia. Hello to Claudia. I hope your father is feeling better today. I know you were taking care of him yesterday, so I know you couldn't join in yesterday, but I do understand when you have other things to do. I do understand. Also, Beatrice, are you still up in the mountains? Are you still there, Beatrice? Hello also to, Luis Mendez is here as well. So nice to see so many people here today on the live stream. Who else is here? We also have Mustafa. Hello to you as well. We have Duong Nguyen Dai. Hello to you. I have a feeling you might be watching in Vietnam. We have a very interesting subject to talk about today. It's an interesting question. In fact, I'm sure there was a song many years ago that went, "If I ruled the world, I would create a really nice situation for everyone around." Everything would be lovely. Free candy every Wednesday. I think so. If I ruled the world. What about you? What would you do if you had the chance to decide what happens in the world? How would you run the world? How would you do it? What would you decide? So imagine if you could decide any law that you wanted. You could make any law, you could bring it forward, and you could say this is what you have to do from now on. Maybe something strict, maybe something that you would want to change in society. So imagine for a moment if you could actually do that, if you could take over, maybe just for one day and make some changes. Imagine what you could do. So we are looking at words and phrases connected to ruling, controlling, different types of government, I suppose, as well. Hello also to Jimmy in Hong Kong. Now yesterday, Mr. Steve, who was with me yesterday but isn't here today because he has to work, unfortunately. Not like me, I can stand here and relax and talk to the world. Isn't it nice? So Steve yesterday was asked about football. It is fair to say that we know nothing about football. Mr. Steve and myself, we don't really follow football, but I do know that Jimmy is a big fan of football. I think it is fair to say. Hello to Zhu Zhen. Hello to you. Where are you watching at the moment? I don't recognise your name. If it is your first time, please let me know. Please say, Mr. Duncan, it is my first time here. Zudzika is here as well. Hello, Mr. Duncan. It is raining a lot. Also, there are many stones. I would imagine that you mean hail. Hail. So when the rain freezes, normally we say that it turns to ice or hail. Hail. It is a type of frozen rain, and sometimes the pieces of ice can be huge, sometimes the size of golf balls or even larger than that. So it is possible to have hail and also to have a lot of hailstones falling as well. I think so. Hello also to Palmyra is here today. Thank you. I am doing some special live streams, so I am with you every day until next week, until the 31st. So for those who are wondering, why are you here on Monday? That is the reason why. Hello to... who else is here today? Let's have a look. I'm just going through my big list. There are many people joining me. Oh, apparently, Zhu Zhen, it is your first time here on the live chat. Congratulations. I always like to make everyone feel welcome on my live stream, so welcome. And if you want to tell us where you are, I would be very interested to find out, if I was honest with you. It's nice to see so many people here. Sameh is here today, watching in Egypt. Hello to you as well. Fortunately, it is not raining today. We don't have much rain or hailstones. Definitely not. I can safely say. So we are looking very briefly at words and phrases connected to ruling the world. So imagine if you had the chance maybe to decide one or two new laws. So new laws that you could bring in and say, I want to change this or I want to change that particular thing. What would you do? I would have free candy or free sweets and chocolate every Wednesday. So every Wednesday you could have one bar of chocolate or maybe your favourite candy, something that you love to eat, and that would be free every Wednesday. For the rest of the week you would have to pay for it, but every Wednesday you would have free chocolate or free candy. Is that a good idea? I think so. I think it's a very good idea. Arbab is here as well. It's nice to see you here as well. Please let me know where you are if you want to say hello to me. So if you could rule the world, there it is on the screen. Everything is very moody today. Do you like my new studio, by the way? This is my steampunk studio. You might not realise it, but I'm very much into steampunk. And for those who wonder what it looks like a little bit like this. Very dark and gothic, with lots of pipes and mechanics and steam. So I hope you like the look of my new studio. I think it looks rather nice, actually. Very atmospheric, to be honest. Duong says, I have just gained 620 points in my TOEIC test. Thank you, Mr. Duncan. I have learnt English from your useful lessons, and my next target is to expand to 785. So you are on your way to becoming very fluent in English. In fact, you are on your way to becoming expert level. I like that. So good luck with the rest of your studies. And yes, keep on climbing. That's what I say. And I'm sure you can do it. So here we are then. Rule the world. If you could rule the world for one day, what would you change? Something nice. So I know there might be things you could think of that might be not so nice, but what about a nice thing? I think it's good to talk about something nice today. So if you could rule the world, what would you change? So mine would be free chocolate every Wednesday. So you could go to the shop, you can go in and you can say, hello, Mr. Candy Store owner, I will have my free bar of chocolate today. And then you will go home and you will eat your lovely bar of chocolate. I think that's a really good idea. So what about you? Do you have any good ones if you had a chance? What would you change in the world? I suppose there are many ways of describing the controlling, or maybe the way you decide what happens in a country. You might say that you run a country. Run. So I think the word run is actually quite interesting. To run something. You run a country. You decide how that thing is controlled. You decide how it is run. So quite often we use the word run in English to describe the way something is operated or controlled. You run a country. In computer programming, you can run a sequence of processes. So quite often in computing, we run a program. Something is operating. Something is working in a certain way. Palmyra says, today I have laundry day. Sadly, my washing machine has broken. It has worked for over 20 years. Well, perhaps, it might be time to get a new one. Maybe. I remember my grandmother used to wash many of her clothes by hand. That's how far back my memory goes. I think so. Yes, you are welcome. I'm sure your English will improve every day. I think so. So if you run something, it means you control that particular thing. You might, of course, run a company. You run maybe a small business. You are in charge. Maybe you are the person who makes all of the big decisions. Maybe you are the one putting money into the company. So you are running the company. You are controlling that particular thing. Oh, now I like this. Decree. If you decree something, you are making a decision. You are making a rule. You decree something. So a decree is normally a rule that is introduced. You decree. You introduce a rule. You decree something. I like that. I think that stems way back from Latin. Rule and control. So when we say that you rule, you control, you make all the decisions. You decide what happens next. So maybe once again you can rule a certain area. You can rule a country. Or, as I've been talking about today, you can rule the world. Imagine that. It's a little bit like James Bond villains. They always want to rule the world. But, of course, they are always foiled at the end. Foil. I like that word. If you foil something, it means you stop it from happening. You prevent that thing. You find out what is happening and you stop it from occurring. You foil something. Maybe an evil person who wants to take over the world with their big laser beam. You might foil their plans for world domination. Rosa. Hello, Rosa. Apparently your local supermarket gives you free coffee. You see? I like that. Free coffee. Now, there are some supermarkets here in the UK that actually give you free coffee. So if you go into the shop, you do some shopping, and then you go to their little restaurant or cafe, you can actually get a free cup of coffee. I suppose it is a way of saying thank you for being a customer. That's what I think anyway. So yes, I suppose that's a nice rule. A supermarket here provides free coffee every day for its clients. So you could actually go there every day and have free coffee every time you go shopping. I like that. That's quite a good idea. So that is a good rule, a nice rule. Very similar to mine. My lovely rule about having free candy, free chocolate every Wednesday. So if you rule something, it means normally you are making the decisions. We often describe that kind of person as a ruler. The ruler of a certain place. The person who has normally complete control. Here we go, some words that are not so positive. Of course, we have to look at all of the words, the happy ones, the positive ones, and the not so positive ones. Despot, a person who rules completely with authority. Despot, a person who controls everything. So they make the decisions. They have no freedom quite often. We often say a despot is a person also who does not allow freedom amongst their community. And I'm losing my voice. Isn't that nice? This is why you should always have some water nearby. When you're doing a live stream, you must always have some water nearby. So when we talk about a despot, a person who has complete control, and quite often that comes with no freedom. An autocrat is another person, another type of person who puts themselves in control. I'm sure there are many other words you could think of using as well. Some of them perhaps not so nice and not so pleasant. Here we go, another one. Dictator. I suppose over history there have been many dictators, many people who have ruled a certain place or a country whilst taking away many of the freedoms, many of the types of freedom. So I suppose we can all think of at least one dictator over time. History has recorded many people who have taken over countries, many different parts of the world. We describe them as a dictator. They decide what happens, and only them, only they make the decisions. And sometimes those decisions can be good, but quite often they can also be bad or restrictive. Hello to Ariel. Thank you very much for your super chat, Ariel. Thank you very much. Hello, Mr. Duncan. I would like to put 2 Christmases per year to get more presents. That is very good. So maybe we could have 2 celebrations or 2 public holidays where people can get together and they can share time and also share gifts as well. You know, I like that one. There are certain types of holidays or festivals where you can get many presents over lots of days. So I would like that. Maybe Christmas. We could have Christmas twice a year, or even 3 times. Am I being greedy by saying that? Maybe. So thank you, Ariel, for your lovely, very, very generous super chat. Thank you very much. Claudia says, I think the world can be better if the teaching system is changed. More empathy, more creativity, paying attention to the ability of each child and developing their ability. I think that is actually a very good suggestion. I have, over the years, expressed some of my opinions. By the way, I'm taking this off the screen. I'm taking this off just in case you think that refers to me. That is not me. I'm not the dictator. So I will take that off the screen very quickly, just in case you tune in and you're not sure what's going on. But I think you're right. Yes, the education system, even here in the UK, I think there are many problems that exist in the education system here in the UK as well. Many things, especially when we talk about the size of the classes. So sometimes you can have maybe 35 or 40 students in one classroom. And this is something I've always disagreed with, even from my own experience of being at school, which was a very long time ago, by the way. But I do remember that the classes were always very large, lots of students in the classroom. And I also know from my own experience that quite often you could be overlooked or neglected by the teacher. And I have to say, it's not always the teacher's fault. Sometimes they are asked to teach very large classrooms full of many, many students. So it is difficult to give attention to every student in the classroom. And also, I think there are many students who are never given the chance because decisions are made that change their education or maybe change their actual life, the direction that they're going in. I suppose I learnt this from my own experience when I was at school, because I was quite quiet, I was shy, and quite often I think I was overlooked by the teachers. So because of that, they would often not even notice that you were there. You would almost vanish in the classroom. You would almost disappear. Claudia said, that's incredible. 53 students in your classroom when you was at school. That's too many. To be honest with you, that is too many students. Far too many. So I think you are right, Claudia. I think quite often, sometimes it is not the fault of the teacher. Sometimes it is just the fault of the way the classrooms or the classes are arranged. But at the moment, what I will say at the moment is here, teaching has become a rather difficult occupation for many reasons. Not least of all because many teachers receive very little salary. They're not paid very well. So I suppose there is a shortage of teachers here in the UK. So I'm not sure what the education system is like where you are in Argentina, but I would imagine there are problems there as well. But they are everywhere. There is no perfect education system. In fact, I can say that many people now are moving more towards private education for their children, or even, and this is the thing I've never experienced, many children are now being home taught. They're being taught at home. Home teaching has also become quite popular, especially after the pandemic, where many people, of course, had to stay at home, and quite often the schools would close, and so the children are at home as well. So homeschooling, teaching your children actually at home and not sending them to school at all, has become very popular. So many people joining in. Thank you very much. It's nice to see you here today. I'm here every day until next Tuesday. We are doing something different, something special. Live streams every day. We just talked about dictators, and I'm sure we can think of many when we look back over history. What about this one? A plutocracy. I like this word. It sounds nice. It sounds like it has something to do with planets, but it doesn't. It's actually to do with money. So we are talking about the old word for money. So by that, you can guess that a plutocracy is a country or a government that is run for the wealthy, by the wealthy. So quite often, it is a type of government that is run, or a country that is ruled by those with wealth. You might say, I know I'm putting myself at risk here by saying this, but you might say that in the past, this country, the one I'm in now, England, was sort of a plutocracy because the people who made all the decisions were the wealthy, and everyone else was at the bottom. They were all the peasants. So you might say that even in the past, here in this country, maybe this country was a plutocracy, but we often think of countries where the wealthy, those with lots of money, make all the decisions. Then we have another word that we hear used quite often, democracy. Oh, Mr. Duncan, we've heard of that word. Democracy, of course, refers to giving the people, the population, the choices, the decisions are theirs. Sometimes. So quite often, I suppose I would use this country as a way of describing that. We have a government. The government has people involved, a group of people who are elected by the individuals like myself. So we will decide who runs the country, who is in charge. We choose. So quite often, I suppose this is the most basic way of describing democracy, is giving the people, giving the population the choice or a chance to make decisions. I suppose in recent history in this country, I would say the biggest decision that we had to make in this country was in 2016, when the referendum for leaving the European Union was decided. And of course, people voted, and they voted to leave the European Union. So that is one thing, you see, a very good example of democracy or democrat or democratic decisions being made. So a democratic decision is one that is made by the people, normally through a voting system. So I would say the last time anything changed in this country based on a decision that was made by everyone was the Brexit agreement, where we decided that we did not want to stay in Europe. We wanted to say goodbye. And I'm sure someone is going to ask, Mr. Duncan, what did you vote for? What did you vote for? Did you vote for Brexit? Or did you vote against it? Ooh, I bet you would love to know that, wouldn't you? I think so. People are hungry. Now this is interesting. People are hungry all over the world, and they don't know how to feed or look after themselves with basic ways of farming, for example. I am a very big fan of farming. I think farming is the most basic source of maybe wealth and health, and I suppose a comfortable life that we all now expect to have. So because of farming over the years, things have changed for many of us, including here in the UK. So I would say that farming is a very important thing and also a very important skill, and probably should always be encouraged. Democracy. It's a very interesting word. Now, if you have a long memory, you will know that quite often countries that don't have democracy are often persuaded to take it on or accept it. Quite often the consequences are not great. But that, as they say, is another story. Finally, before I go, oh, Mr. Duncan, you are being very naughty now. Communism. Oh, communism. Communism is a system where people have nothing, but it is all shared equally, and the state always own the things that you have. So I suppose that is the most basic way of stating what communism is. But it is, of course, supposed to be a fair system where everyone gets an equal share. And in reality, I think it is fair to say that does not happen. Now, I have lived in a communist country. I've lived in China, and I spent many years living in China. So I know from my own experience what living in a communist country is actually like. So I'm not just making things up, because I've actually had life experience of this particular political system. My own opinions, well, I suppose I would say that it isn't exactly a very fair system. Any system of government, any system where one person or a small group of people make decisions for the rest of the people, you can guarantee 99% of the time there is some form of greed or corruption. And I'm not just saying that that exists in communism, because it exists everywhere. Even in this country, over the years, many people have been found out, or they've been discovered to be corrupt. So that's pretty much what it is all about. Ruling the world, I don't think, to be honest with you, I would love to have the chance to rule the world for one day, but I have a feeling it's not easy. Do you know why? Because people are different everywhere you go. People have different attitudes, different ways of living, different beliefs. So they all think differently. So quite often one person having control over a large number of people might not be a good idea all the time. So I don't think it is something I would like to try. But in my mind, up here, in my imagination, I like to think that I would be a good ruler of the planet. Don't forget, free chocolate every Wednesday. So that would be my rule. Vitas says, Mr. Duncan, we know that you lived in China. You lived in a communist country for 4 years. I did. So I was living in China at the same time as my YouTube channel was born. So I actually created my YouTube channel whilst living in China. So it all started there, way back in 2006. And way back then, of course, YouTube was a very different place. Very different from what it is now, to be honest. Very, very different. Not only from the way the channel or the site was run, but also from the technology that was involved. So when you put a video onto YouTube in 2006, the quality was very poor. It was very low definition. It was not clear. And of course, if you remember, way back in 2006, you could only have a video that was 10 minutes or less. You couldn't put anything on that was longer than 10 minutes. So I do remember that. Palmyra says, Winston Churchill said that democracy is not very good, but what is better? Yes, he was quite outspoken about democracy. He said, it isn't great, but it's the best that we have. There isn't anything really better than that. It is the nearest you can get to something that actually works. So yes, maybe that is it. Lewis is going. See you later, Lewis. Well, I am back with you tomorrow. I am going in a few moments, by the way. So this is just a short live stream. I'm doing a short live stream every single day between now and the 31st of October. Lewis says, we had 50 pupils in primary school, and most of the time the pupils in the last year would help the ones in the first year. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a wonderful thing. So the senior students would help the students who had just started school. I like that. I think that's a lovely idea, in fact. So I suppose my own experience of being at school was not a great one. I know I've said this before. I didn't have a great time at school. I didn't enjoy it very much. In fact, sometimes you can learn a lot more after leaving school than whilst you are there, to be honest. Thank you very much for your company today. I've enjoyed being with you, and I am with you tomorrow. I will be once again live on YouTube, 2 p.m. UK time. You can watch this again, and later on there will be lovely captions on the screen as well for you. to enjoy. So I will be back with you tomorrow, back again from 2 p.m. UK time. And of course, until then, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. Take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. It seems very strange being here on Monday. It really does. Very weird, in fact. See you tomorrow. Don't forget, 2 p.m. And I will see you then. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mustafa. Thank you also, Vitas. Thank you, Palmyra. Also, Lewis. Thank you very much to Claudia. Thank you for joining us today. See you tomorrow. And of course, you know what's coming next. Yes, you do. Oh, there you are. Ta-ta for now. See you tomorrow.